Perfect. Oh, great. Thanks. Hello, Scott. How are you today?
Hi, Janet. Nice to hear you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks. Nice to hear you also. So, wow, that's a very big story that is being told on the Hollywood Con Queen. So, tell me how this project came about for you.
Um, well, the I got a tip when I was back in it starts way back in 2018. I was working at the Hollywood Reporter at the time, and I got a tip about a scam, and I started investigating it. It turned into a cover story for the Hollywood Reporter that summer, and then shortly thereafter, I started thinking about it as a possible book because it just continued to intrigue me and interest me, and there were so many interesting kind of unresolved questions, and so I got a book contract and started working on the book. And then in the midst of working on the book, I was in touch with Chris Smith, the director, and he and I started working together on a documentary, which now, 4 years later, has finally come to fruition to our great delight.
Thanks. Thank you for that response. The story seems to have developed a life of its own. Do you expect to squeeze another project out of it, or do you feel like this is the tip of an iceberg or the end of all of it?
Oh, I mean, I think for me, it's probably more of an ending. Uh, I mean, the book is out, and that was a long process. Now the documentary is coming out, and that'll be the end of that. I mean, I'm who knows? You never know what's coming around the bend, as my mother-in-law used to say. But who knows? I mean, yeah. For now, I think it's more of an ending, but you never know.
Well, that's good. I mean, you had many conversations that were recorded and shown in the documentary with the con queen. Did you post arrest? Did you have any additional contact with him?
I did not. No, no, that was the end. That was the end of that.
Did you feel drawn to, like, were you in withdrawals after all of those conversations?
Um, well, they were so intense, and there were so many of them that it took quite a while to process all of them. And I still had the book to write, and I still had the documentary to make. So there was a lot of time spent with those conversations, just processing, thinking, writing, rewriting, editing. So, long after the conversations themselves had stopped, I remained with him and with his voice on my own, or with my collaborators on the documentary, or my editors at HarperCollins. And so, for me, the voice of the Con Queen has been, with me for months and for years, really. It's not something that I stopped hearing the moment he was arrested.
Sure. So if you had a memorable moment from the entire process, what would it be?
Um, I think it was, uh, you know, I think. Well, there were so many. I mean, there were so many. I don't want to give any spoiler alerts, but let me just say this: this is a really truly international story, and on multiple levels. I mean, the victims uh, hailed from every continent on the planet except for Antarctica.
Wow.
Um, the you know the countries involved. I mean, the scam was in Europe. The scammer was from Indonesia. Many of the victims were from America. I mean, it's a really truly international story. And so the process of kind of touching down in different parts of the world and finding that some new portal or entry into the story was there available in that country was really fascinating and rewarding for me. As somebody who has spent my life, working on international stories, that was very gratifying and surprising too. Wherever we went, there was a new leaf to turn over, and that was really gratifying.
Wow. Thank you. So what's next for you?
What's next for me? I'm working on another book. Uh, I can't talk about what that is just yet, but and then I'm getting back into being a foreign correspondent again after a period of some just time doing this doc and stuff. And yeah, and then we'll see. I'm open to new opportunities.
Has crime always been your beat?
No, it is not. I started out my journalism career as a foreign correspondent. I worked for Newsweek for many years, and for a long time I was a war correspondent. So I worked in Afghanistan and Iraq for three. I was in Iraq for 3 years, in Afghanistan for a year. I was in Africa for many years, Latin America. So most of my career was spent covering politics, wars, economics, foreign policy, things like that. Then I worked for a while covering gang stuff,
Mm.
basically in the Bay Area, and then only for the last few years in Los Angeles, I worked doing not just crime, but basically just weird stories like scams or cons or just weird lawsuits, murders, some crime, different things like that. Just kind of the seedy underbelly of Hollywood and Los Angeles, which turned out to be a really fascinating beat, actually.
Yes. Well, Scott, thank you so much for your time. I certainly appreciate it. The documentary is intriguing and just the layers are amazing. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for your interest. I really appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. Have a great day.
You. Bye bye.
Bye.